People of the Stony Point, some version thereof. People say the Pebble Points, the Stony Points, but it's, you know, if you think about our coastline, it's very rocky, rocky beach, so where it's considered, I mean, when you think about all up and down the bay, it's very rocky, you know, and that's where it comes from. So, before I get totally off track, whoops. So, I think I needed a remote control because I'm not good at looking at it from that angle. So, I was talking about the 13 Thanksgivings, and it goes along with this title, Nukasaki, Mother Earth, and our creation story, and how we came to be here on on Mother Earth, and that, frankly, everything that we need was the gift of the Creator, which we call Kutantuit, which is one of our words for the Creator. Just so that you know, even historically, we only had one Creator, but just like in English, you can say God, Great Spirit in the sky, you know, our Lord, this, that, and the other thing as words that mean the same thing. We also did, and they misinterpreted that to us to have all these different gods. The other thing that they confuse is that we often consider something spiritual, or having a spirit. So I'll give you an example. In our language, a nakwasag, which is the word for stars, is an animate as opposed to an inanimate. And we have a lot of words like that in the modern world we consider those things inanimate, but in our world as indigenous peoples, we consider them animate. The sun is animate. It gives you light. It gives you heat. It gives you so much, so it's part of what gives you life, you know? And so it's like a different philosophy on things. And so that's part of all of it. So, looking at that image there, it's one of my favorite places. It's the place that we go cranberry picking, right in Rhode Island, wild cranberries. It doesn't look anything like the Ocean Spray commercials at all. But you have these wonderful wild beds of cranberries. I'm sure at some point on this island you probably had wild cranberries. They tend to grow where the fresh water is, but where it's a little marshy. In the spring, it gets really flooded and wet, and that's what helps them grow. And then as the season progresses, the water recedes, and when it's time to actually pick them, they're out of the water, unlike on Ocean Spray where they flood the bed so that they can use these big machines to grab them because they float. The berries float. But it's also why we celebrate a cranberry Thanksgiving, because the cranberry was extremely important to us. Because if you read any of the first primary source documents when explorers and first colonists came here, they talked about how healthy and stately and tall the Narragansett people were. Verrazano, there's some quote in there about how we looked. Well, I believe it's because of our environment.